Hello and welcome to the history podcast from Childeric, Charles. Today is episode 10, the Epilogue. Welcome back. The last time we discussed the rise to power and life of Pepin de Helstad, or Pepin II, as he is more commonly known. A powerful and devout leader, he led the nobility to unprecedented heights of power over the kings. After his death, the Neustriens would reject his grandson, while Austrasie was conquered by Charles, who managed to, after escaping imprisonment, lead his family to unprecedented greatness himself. The Merovingians were finished. Rather than joining in on the fight against the Pépinids, the king of Neustrie fled to Aquitaine instead, showing just how far the kings had fallen. No longer able to control their vassals or subjects, they could only flee to one or another and cower before them, hoping that they would prove merciful. This sorry state of affairs would end with a king by the same name as the true founder of the line, Childeric. Though this was the third king to bear that name, it is quite fitting that it should end with such a king. And it symbolized the weakness of these kings and how they no longer symbolized any real danger to Carolingien ascendancy. Childeric had his hair ritually tonsured, as to eliminate his claim symbolically as king, and then was packed off to live the rest of his days as a monk. After that, we don't know, but likely he died in 758 after being called a false king for 4 years. Why did the Franks feel so strongly against such a powerless and pathetic figure as this king? Well, after almost 2.5 centuries of bleeding the realm dry in their endless wars, it is doubtless that a great many felt sorry. Further, given the superior power of the Carolingians, who descended from Pepin II and his son Charles, they had had almost a century to get everyone accustomed to their family at the helm. And where the Merovingians would tear themselves apart endlessly in their insular desire to continuously fight and destroy themselves, the Carolingians were made of a superior stock, as they looked far more outwards, which was necessary for the kingdom's very survival, as looming on the horizon was the looming threat of the Islamic conquests. Once again, we have to confront the question, why study the Merovingians at all? Well, for all their obvious barbarity in some cases, and brutality, many were, however, different. The stereotype of the barbarian king only touches perhaps half of what they were, with the other half of these early medieval monarchs being quite cultured, brave, sometimes generous, and even wise. Perhaps, by learning about the kings, it will inspire more curiosity about the era, which could lead to newer discoveries and views on them coming to the forefront. Why should these kings, for all their flaws, be forgotten? While they certainly were nowhere near as great as their successor dynasties of the Carolingian, Capetian, or even the various dynasties over in Germany, they are certainly a fascinating group of men and women who forged France from a rib bone of the Roman Empire, as it has once been said. It is from their efforts and errors that an entire culture, and from there the entirety of Western Europe and her cultures, has sprung from. Therefore, there is much to honor and respect, despite many of the shortcomings of these rulers. They are every bit as influential in history as the Romans, Greeks, and Hattians were before them, even if they reigned for but a brief moment in comparison to these greater dynasties of civilizations. That's it for this video and this podcast series. If you have enjoyed it, do give our fireside history a view. It is about the rise and fall of the Hittite Empire and dynasty over in the Middle East during the Late Bronze Age. Now, if you enjoyed this video, do give it a like, comment, share the video, and subscribe.